So today at the Observing Fullerton podcast, we have Esha Salman with us. She is a journalist with the Fullerton Observer, a high school student at Troy, as well as an intern at STEME. So Esha, you're representing the organization STEME today. Could you briefly explain what this organization does?
So STEME is basically a nonprofit organization. It's based in Houston, Texas, but it helps students globally, not just in the United States, to achieve different opportunities for STEM. And it does this through different programs, mentorships, opportunities. And it's really easy to volunteer. You can go from anywhere in the world virtually, or you can attend in-person events in your area. But what it aims to do is not only look at STEM, because it's such a growing field today. A lot of people can do STEM for different things, but you can use it in that organization in that sense, and you can really broaden your horizons. And what it also does is it focuses on entrepreneurship, not just science, technology, engineering, and math. So using that those resources in high school and being able to expand yourself for if you're getting into college, or if you want to learn more about the different careers, fields, or opportunities that STEM has to provide.
Mm-hmm. So could you give me a specific example of something that you worked on as an activity, perhaps as a volunteer?
So what I do so my job basically at this organization is I'm a media coordinator. So I write I reach out to different journalists and publications, and I, try to get the mission of STEME published, because it's really such an incredible and fascinating thing. And one project that I worked on is I got into contact at Michigan State University with this woman named Tracy D'Agostino, and we collaborated for over a year. She writes amazing STEM articles, and basically her writing style and my writing style are very, very similar. So she writes basically very short articles, which is something that I also do. I'm not the kind of person to write on and on. I like keeping things sweet, simple, to the point. So I really found myself, in her when I was looking for different journalists, people to connect to. And so what we did together is we Zoomed a lot. We collaborated on this one article, and we were able to release it a month ago on the MSU Extension website.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was me talking about my journey with STEM, because it wasn't always a love relationship. It was actually a hate relationship once, but it was really interesting to see STEM, my experience with STEM being brought out in that one project that I decided to take, and how this organization STEME really helped me with that.
So tell me a little bit about that. How did that go from hate to love?
So when I was really young, I was like, there's no way that I'm ever going to do STEM. I actually wanted to be an actor when I was really young. Yeah, I was obsessed with the movies. And my sister actually, she's doing pre-med right now, but she was always the STEM one in the family. Mm-hmm. She was got straight scores, and I did not. I was, I was more creative. So, I just was always what, I'm not going to do STEM. I'm just going to be an actor. Let's see where it goes from there. And I think it's just mainly because I've had this misconception that STEM is just, science. That's all it is, or it's all boring. But I think the more awareness or the more exposure that I had to STEM and the realities behind it, there's so many things you can do. If you love the ocean, it's not just you have to do marine biology. There's so many things that you can do. Or, if you love other things, STEM is just so, even in considering the movies, there are so many things in STEM that you can do, behind the scenes in movies, directing, editing, special effects. So it's really just, diversifying in this, in this new generation. So I really think that me personally, as I said before, growing up, I didn't like it. And what really got me exposed, not only was STEME, but was this realization that I'm kind of good at science. Yeah. And, I took, biology my freshman year, and it was probably the class that I did the best in. Mm-hmm. And then I'm taking AP Bio right now, which is, hard, but it's honestly one of my best classes right now. So I think it's just getting that awareness really changed my perspective, and realizing that STEM is so much more than what's presented. It's not all nerds and books. It's actually so much. It's so interesting.
Yeah, that's where innovation, discovery, that's how we understand everything that's all around us. Without STEM, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be happening. So you're absolutely right. Let's talk a bit more about the STEME organization. How was it formed, and what purpose does it serve for students?
So STEME was created in 2018 by Andrea Below. She's the founder and executive director, and it's based in Houston, Texas, but The really incredible thing about STEME is that it has this, this network of interns globally, not just in the United States. As I said, like, I'm from California, from Fullerton, but, I'm on the media coordinators team, and there's other people who live in the different states, and there's people who come all the way from, Uganda and Africa who participate in it. So the purpose really is to just expose students, as I said, to not only STEM, but also different entrepreneurship activities. So students can become mentors, students can be mentors, students can tutor others or participate in these events. It's also to kind of help you get resources, especially to people who don't have, access because of, their socioeconomic background, or because in some places you might not just, again, have that exposure. You might just be living under this misconception of what STEM is. So really bringing that to light, and also it just really serves to also help people. It's not necessarily just about, tutoring somebody on their science homework, but it's also more about, okay, you want to go to like college, let's help you with that. This organization is just really meant to guide students for whatever purposes that they need.
Amazing. So it transforms itself
to
fit into the students' needs. So you've mentioned already that it's a global organization. You have interns from everywhere. So how big is it? I mean, if you know the numbers, or how,
So the numbers, I'm not too sure on that, but I'm going to say, if I'm going to do a rough estimate, I think about more than 10 states or more, there's like interns from each of them, and it's not just like one intern from one state. It can be concentrated. Like I think from California, there's about 2 to 3, and then there's a lot in Texas, definitely, but the interns mostly connect through this virtual network, Zoom meetings, team meetings, but there's also different events in different areas. Like there's chapters and ways that, you can get involved in your own state. And I think that one of the best things about STEME is that, even though it's found in this one place, Houston, Texas, there are things that we can do here, in-person events, not just, through virtual Zoom meetings, where we can all connect and really spread the mission of this organization.
How else do you think you have benefited from this organization?
Yeah, so I definitely think that when I first started out at STEME, I did not have any experience with media coordinators, nor did I really have any connection building experience. I realized that the more you progress, the more it's necessary to be able to communicate with others and effectively be able to share ideas with other people, and also just being able to maintain relationships. I wasn't really aware of this because I joined my freshman year of high school with STEME, so being able to contact people was not something I was great with, and that's a skill that's really needed to succeed in the world. You need to know how to be able to maintain relationships. So being a media coordinator, not only was I forced to really understand the process of how to build connections and network with people, but it's also conducting extensive research on certain journalists and publications, whether they're aligned with the message that I'm trying to get out, because my job is basically, find people, communicate with them, collaborate on ideas, and, try to see if we can find common ground. But I wasn't, I was kind of a little bit shy in my freshman year of high school. Having a conversation with someone was not something that I could, do. I mean, I could talk a lot, trust me, don't get me wrong, I can always do that, but meeting people professionally was not something that I was able to really effectively do. So talking to a bunch of different people through STEME, because, it was my job requirement, really allowed me to, grow in that area.
Say a student is watching this, they now have an interest in joining STEME. What would you say to those students who want a career in STEM, but they're intimidated, or they're anxious, or they're confused about it? What advice do you have?
So it's really easy to become a part of STEME. All you have to do is visit the website, steme.org, STEME.org, or you can visit them on their social media platforms. There's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and what they do is basically they post engaging content to kind of keep up with different students who might be interested. And all you have to do is, if you go on their website, there's different options. You can become a mentor, be mentored, you can be a volunteer, you can join the extensive intern network, or join the entrepreneurship programs. There's a lot of workshops too, so it's not just to join, you have to be a volunteer, you have to get tutored. It's also something where, like, if there's an event in your area, either virtually or in person, you can go once, maybe learn a little bit of information, maybe come back another time. But it's really, the whole purpose, again, is just to spread information and raise awareness about, you know, what STEM is and different opportunities. So even getting exposure from one event is just like a job well done for STEME. Right. So yeah, those are basically the ways, and adults can help by, you know, donating, or they can become a mentor. Maybe they can also volunteer, be interns, and also push kids to take part in this venture. And they can also, as I said before, be volunteers too.
So how did you get involved with the Fullerton Observer?
So I've lived in Fullerton for 13 years of my life, and the Fullerton Observer is a landmark of Fullerton. You know, I'd be at the YMCA getting back from swim practice, and, you know, the Fullerton Observer is right there. And I think, you know, I remember I was featured once in 4th grade for, you know, this event that our school did, and I was like so happy. And so I've always known about it, and I've always known that there are ways that, you know, I could contribute. And I just think it's so interesting because it's something where sometimes I would like read it for fun if, you know, it's there on the side. And I just think it does such a good job of bringing our community together, because, you know, sometimes we get so caught up with what's happening in our state, what's happening in our county, that we forget that, you know, what's happening in our own town. And I really think that the Fullerton Observer was something that really attracted me to that, because there's so many things that I love doing in Fullerton that, you know, that I think are pointed out in it. And so it's always something where I was like, I would love to contribute to that, because I love Fullerton. You know, I've lived in it for most of my life. So having the opportunity to be able to contribute to it was amazing, especially since I found out that, again, like I said, I found out that I was, you know, good at writing like a couple years ago. I didn't think for most of my life that, you know, I would be good at STEM or I would be good at writing, but, you know, these are like slow realizations that I had. So, you know, when I had this opportunity, when I was like, okay, you know what, I can write, I decided to couple it with, you know, my love for the city. So when I applied, and it's been going great ever since.
Yeah. Why do you like being a part of this community when you know you're not going to get paid, when you know technically it's not an internship of any sort? Like, what keeps you going?
I think for me, it's just being able to contribute what I can to this town. Like I said, I've lived in Fullerton for 13 years, so being able to like give back in any way. For me, it's not about the money. It's about, you know, like, or being paid or getting credit for, you know, being a volunteer and intern at like a news publication. It's more so like that I love writing and I love this town. And if I can do two things that I love at once, that's just amazing, because it's just a way for me to, you know, explore more into parts. Like that graduation cap story. If it was not for the Fullerton Observer, I would not have known about it. Or if it wasn't, there are other stories that are just highlighted through the Fullerton Observer that really bring much needed awareness, and, you know, and it taps into the different parts of Fullerton. Like, Fullerton is not just a town where it's about one thing. There's so many different things that you can like, that are a part of the town. I'm still discovering new things every single day, like in downtown Fullerton or different places. So I just think for me, it's just more about connecting with the city that I love and being able to do what I'm passionate at the same time.
What advice would you have for any high schoolers or junior high students that, you know, they've kind of realized they enjoy writing, but they're, you know, intimidated to take that first step and get involved with us? Yeah,
so funny story. My whole life, I've struggled with one subject, it's English. Like, it's wow, I can't even tell you. When I was young, my 4th grade teacher told my mom, like, she can't write, like, because my stories were just I was so ambitious with my stories because I loved to write so much that, you know, my ideas were everywhere. I got, like, you know, an English tutor. My English tutor was like, this is a lot. So I was really discouraged, you know, and I always thought, well, English just isn't my subject, so it's fine. Something else is my subject. But especially through quarantine, when I had some time to myself and I started writing articles, I wrote one article about my culture, which is really what propelled me to, you know, to who I am today, writing a lot, writing avidly. I really discovered that, you know, it's okay that some teachers didn't like my writing style because, you know, I'm good at it. And I slowly just really realized, like, I really love to write. Like, if I'm bored and I have an idea in my head, I'll write it on a Google Docs, I'll correct it later, and I'll realize that I've really done something there. Like, I really made an impact, because the type of writing that I do is nonfiction. I like to write about change, like what's going on in our community, ways we can, innovation, STEM, what's going, like what's changing, what's new, what's different, because I want to make an impact on people and, build a better future. So if I get the opportunity to write something like that, not only am I being able to do what I love again, but I feel like I'm really making an impact. So I was definitely intimidated at first. When I wrote that first article during quarantine about my culture, I didn't tell anyone. I went to my uncle secretly because I wanted it to be a surprise for my parents, and I told him, do you think you can get this published for me? I wrote this. So he did, and we did that together, and then I saw it was getting a lot of positive reviews, not only from my family, but from other people who were sharing it on social media. And so that was really encouraging, and I think it's just those pushes that we get from the people we love. My mom has definitely been an amazing influence because she's pushed me to really be strong and be able to fight for like my opportunities and be able to do what I love. So, it doesn't always come quickly. Like I want to stress just that, like I did not realize that I was good at STEM or I was an amazing writer because, my whole life I've been pushed away from those things actually. So I always just had this misconception in my head that I'm not good at these things. But when I tried it out and I was able to get that exposure, that really helped me. And now I'm changed. Like if I had not gotten those, those pushes into my life or really gone out of my comfort zone, then, I would not have done all that I've done up until this day. So, yeah.
Who else do you think we should interview on this podcast that's doing amazing work in Fullerton?
Well, I definitely think there are so many people that just make Fullerton a better place. And I mean, for me, I feel like Fullerton is just consisted of so many great people who do work starting from places like studying in coffee shops. And I think, or this isn't necessarily one person, but, I have this one friend who writes Yelp reviews for everything. And so whenever I want to go out, like, hang out with my mom, especially like in Fullerton, or just hang out with my friends, go to a cafe and study, I'll always text her and be like, can you send me some good cafes right now to go study? And I think the whole point of that is just because our ideas have to be nurtured somewhere. They start from, sitting in your room or going to like a nice place. So I think, and Fullerton especially, one thing that I really love is that there's so many different places with different, vibes. Like you can go somewhere like a rustic bookshop, you can go to, a coffee shop, you can go to like a dress shop, like everywhere, like it has accommodations for everyone. So I think maybe like interviewing people who like know more about that or the different parts of Fullerton or that culture, like I think that is really interesting, or getting more in depth of it because, like I said, I'm exploring new things about Fullerton every single day, and I've been living here for most of my life. So yeah, maybe doing like a deep dive into like the history or like the different places that, make Fullerton. There's so many, I feel like just this city, this town itself, there's so many cool things. Like there's a therapeutic horse ranch, and I think Terrace Chance, yeah. I think I was talking to them once. I think they're the only one, I think in Southern California, or one of two that does like, that. And it's so amazing that we have that here in Fullerton. And not only that, there's like in Fullerton downtown, like me and my friends, we go to Troy, which is a very stressful school, so we definitely need those study breaks, going to cafes. So it's definitely like being able to not only get your work done and be productive, but also explore new areas. Like that's just amazing. So, looking into like more of the, I wouldn't necessarily say history, but, like the culture of Fullerton. Yeah. Because, even if you look around, like I once did an article on Catherine England. Yeah. She has those murals around Fullerton, and I think that's really captivating. You're driving around and you see this beautiful mural with like elements of different colors and things that pop out. That's really nice. I definitely think there's this one peer in my class, her name is Janet Kim. She does so much. She has, I think she's had like research papers published already. She's a senior in high school. She's had like medical papers published. She's the editor-in-chief of our yearbook staff. So she does that. She's gotten recognition from like the mayor for like outstanding community service. So she's really done a lot. And so it might be interesting to like see what goes on like behind her day in the life, because it can't be easy. And there's so many other different, like what I love about Troy, there's so many different people from like and not everyone comes from Fullerton, people come from really far away. So there's different people who pursue different things. Like there's this one senior in our school, I believe he might have graduated a while ago, or he still goes there, but he directed like movies, or not movies, but like short films, and they won awards. And I think that's really interesting because Troy's not just this school that's just solely based on STEM, which is, what people think Troy is, but there's so much more like diversity and things that Troy is amazing at, like the NJROTC program. There's another student, Chand, he's amazing at what he does. He's like gone to nationals for Cyber Patriot. He's like a ROTC, like he's on reserves, or he's very, very talented. You get exposed to so many different things. Like the amount of opportunities that I've gotten from, like looking at the Troy website or consulting with my friends, or, because everybody does something at Troy. Everybody has their own niche thing. And so they go to different places to do it. My thing is I love writing. So, I write for the Fullerton Observer. I, write articles. I write on my blog. That's kind of like what I want to do. And I help other people who like also love writing too. And, there's other areas of, things that I might be interested in which I ask help from others. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
And do you have a favorite teacher?
That's a hard one.
Putting
on the spot.
They're watching this.
They're watching this right now. That's really interesting. I'm trying to go through the periods in my head like throughout the day. But I would definitely think that the teachers that have had like an impact maybe have not come from Troy, actually. Maybe have probably for me come from a different school, or I want to say that my biggest like influence, I wouldn't necessarily say like a teacher, but in some sort of ish ways, was my sister. And just because she's like we're both first gen in our family, so we've had very similar experiences that my parents haven't had. Like my parents didn't go to school in America. They came, after they got married, so they don't really they didn't fully understand as much of the experience that my sister had. So even in elementary school, if I ever had like drama or advice or like problems with like academics, because my sister was always like the shining like bright like academics person, I was more of the creative one, but I would always ask her for help, and she continues to give me like amazing advice when it comes to like stuff with my with my friends, with whatever's going on with my life. She always has the answer to everything, and even if she doesn't have the answer, she's always there to give good advice and consult me. And I'd also definitely say like my parents and my grandma especially, those people have because they're my immediate family and I'm always with them, and I'm directly influenced by literally some of the best people. They're both amazing examples. All of them are really amazing examples of, who I strive to be. They all are able to like participate in things and really give their all. And my mom especially has really encouraged me and pushed me to be who I am. She's given me, access to all these like opportunities. I'm so grateful to have her, because she's really been able to like really help me with a lot of the things that I have if I ever have advice or I'm struggling. And especially, well, this is a little sad, but my grandpa, he passed away when I was like in middle school, but he was probably one of the biggest influences in my life, because both my parents work. So my mom works in Santa Monica, so she would have to go to office a lot, so my grandpa would take me everywhere. So he's also been like one of the greatest influences, on my life. He was always there to like talk to me if I needed anything. We would always just bond together. So I think I'm really, I'm really a family person. Like I'm family, friends all the way. So I think that having that sort of influence in my own household, where it's just positive and people encouraging me and really pushing me to be the best version of myself, has really allowed me to, grow into the person that I am.